afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just gone noon and time for another update on our progress on our third day at sea, crossing the North Atlantic Ocean. And tempus fugit once again, clocks have leapt forward by 1 hour. So all of a sudden it is now 4 minutes past 1 in the afternoon and the dining rooms are open for lunch. So our position at noon was 48 degrees and 20 minutes north and 32 degrees and 37 minutes west. Currently the closest point of land is the island of Corvo, which is a very small island just to the north of Flores, and that's 520 nautical miles to the southeast of us. And Corvo Island, literally the island of the crow, is the smallest and the northernmost island of the Azores archipelago and the northernmost in Macaronesia, which is the group of 4 smaller islands to the north and west of the Azores archipelago. It has a population of about 468, which means it is the smallest single municipality in either the Azores or in Portugal. And today being the third sea day as we cross the North Atlantic, almost the middle of our passage, and it is also the part where we will cross the Mid-AtlanticRidge, passing between the Faraday fracture zone to the north and the Maxwell fracture zone to the south. And the Mid-Atlantic-Ridge is a submarine ridge lying along the north-south axis of the Atlantic Ocean. It occupies the central part of the basin between a series of flat abyssal plains that continue out to the margins of the continental coasts. And the Mid-Atlantic-Ridge is in effect an immensely long mountain chain extending for over 10,000 miles in a curving path from the Arctic Ocean to near the southern tip of Africa. It's equidistant between the continents on either side of it and results from a divergent boundary separating the tectonic plates. The North American plate from the Eurasian plate in the North Atlantic and the South American plate from the African plate in the South Atlantic. And these plates are still moving apart, so the Atlantic is growing at the ridge at a rate of between 5 and 10 centimetres or 1 and 4 inches every year in an east to west direction. And the mountains forming the ridge now reach a width of over 1,000 miles, and these mountains sometimes reach above sea level, and when they do they form islands or island groups, which includes the Azores and the island of Corvo, that nearest point, Ascension Island, St. Helena and Tristan da Cunha, among others. And indeed, if you track up through the mountain range to the north, the Reykjanes Ridge leads up through the middle of Iceland as well. So that's going on underneath. Over the top of the ridge and over the water, where we are, still foggy, at about 30 hours of fog now. And of course the weather systems track from west to east across the Atlantic at roughly 20 miles an hour, and we're going west to east across the North Atlantic at roughly 20 miles an hour, so we tend to sit in weather systems for quite a long time as we cross the Atlantic. So heading east, once you get into a fog, you tend to stay there for some time. But hopefully later this afternoon this will burn off, fingers crossed, and if not, it'll be tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the afternoon. Meanwhile, here's Third Officer Kevin Morrissey.
Thank you very much, Captain. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Since departure from Halifax until noon today, Queen Mary 2 has steamed a total distance of 1,380 nautical miles at an average speed of just over 22 knots. This leaves a further distance of 1,270 nautical miles left to the nav pilot station in Southampton. The ship's heading is 075 degrees and our current speed is 23.5 knots. The depth of water below the keel is 4,000 meters or 13,100 feet with a sea temperature of 16 Celsius or 61 Fahrenheit, and there is a short low southwesterly swell of up to 2 meters or 6 feet. As the captain said, we are currently sailing in fog, and some of you may be wondering how we're able to navigate in such thick fog. Well, Queen Mary 2 is equipped with quite a few radars. The radar is the abbreviation of radio direction and range, and it's a device for detecting objects by sending out pulses of radio waves. If these strike anything, they are reflected back, and the time taken for these echoes to return is measured. As the speed of the radio waves is known, this time can be automatically translated into the distance of the object. Direction is given by the direction in which the transmitting aerial points at that time. By the 1940s, warships were using radar for shadowing an enemy and providing ranges for gunnery. After the war, radar sets were installed in merchant ships as aids to navigation and for the prevention of collision. The weather at present, as the captain said, a bit murky, traveling through fog, with temperatures of 18 Celsius or 64 Fahrenheit, and winds from the west-southwest force 3 on Beaufort scale, which is about 9 knots. Moving into tonight and tomorrow, fog is looking to break. We'll be following the weather quite closely up here on the bridge. Temperatures to remain much the same, and winds from the south up to 12 knots, and some potential drizzle overnight. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for the weather, and I'll leave you with one quick quote. To me, the sea is a continual miracle. The fishes that swim, the rocks, the motion of the waves, the ships with men in them. What stranger miracles are there? Walt Whitman. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you have a wonderful afternoon on board Queen Mary 2, and I'll now hand you over to our German hostess, Vanessa.